Labdien! Paldies, ka esat ieradušies.
Good morning. Thank you for coming to the press conference devoted to the informal meeting of competitiveness ministers. We will begin with short introductory speeches by the Latvian Minister of Economy, Reizniece-Ozola, and the EU Commissioner for Internal Market, Industry, Elżbieta Bieńkowska. And then, as usual, you will have an opportunity to ask questions. Please, Minister. Thank you, dear journalists. First of all, I would like to apologize for coming late. We had such interesting discussions that it was impossible to finish on time. But I think this shows that the subjects that we have been discussing during this informal meeting is very interesting. The informal meeting of competitiveness ministers is one of three formats gathering EU ministers responsible for industry and internal market in their respective member states. And I was very glad to see that this meeting in Riga, because this is an opportunity not only to speak about interesting issues, but also to see what is happening in Latvia. I think you saw that during the coffee breaks and also during the meetings, we have invited Latvian business people so that they can show off their newest products and developments. We are very proud that we have a very developed internet infrastructure, which is one of the prerequisites in order to achieve a digital single market and also to strengthen the industry by using all the opportunities given by the new technologies. At the beginning of this month in Brussels, in the Formal Council, we discussed among member states what are the measures needed in order to strengthen the digital single market, because Europe understands that this is the moment when Europe has to think very seriously how to boost our competitiveness, how to create new jobs, and how to compete globally with all big players like the United States, China, Japan, and so on, and other territorially united markets, because we see that 20 years after the creation of the single market, this single market is still not functioning fully. There are still many obstacles, for instance, for a Latvian business person to operate in neighboring countries. These obstacles are both technical and practical, and some are used by legislation which is too stringent in some cases. In this meeting, we spoke mainly about one aspect, the digital single market, which is very important for such countries as Latvia. On the one hand, we see that geographically we are very advantageously located as the bridge between the East and West. But on the other hand, if we look at the context of the EU, then we can see that we are in the periphery. We have a small number of population, and here I see that the digital market can offer us advantages and gives opportunities to access a market which comprises 500 million people. And this is one of the subjects that we discussed yesterday, how to strengthen this digital single market. Today we spoke about another subject, how to digitalize industry and to achieve a wider use of digital technologies. We see that approximately 2% of the industry use to a full extent the opportunities offered by digitalization, and therefore we can say that most actors of the industry do not use these opportunities. 48% of the production companies have not used in their operations any modern technologies, and thus they lose on competitiveness. In the afternoon, we will talk about business environment as a whole, support measures, financing, and so on. That is everything that is necessary in order to boost startups and development. And on the 6th of May, the Commission is planning to come up with the digital single market strategy. And this is actually the last opportunity for member states to voice their opinion about those important measures that have to be taken by the Commission and involved in this strategy. Thank you, Madam Minister. And now I would like to give the floor to the Commissioner, please.
Firstly, I wanted to thank the Latvian presidency, both for the organization of the meeting, but also for the subject, and for the opportunity to listen to the practitioners, to the entrepreneurs. It's very important for politicians, for administration, to listen to their views and their opinions, especially now as we are concluding in 1 month, on the 6th of May. The digital single market project will be adopted by the college, and of course after such discussion like this informal council, I am counting very much on this, that the discussion in the council on the project will be much shorter. We tried to link together with the presidency this informal council with the single market forum. Both occasions were very good to discuss. Firstly, the barriers, the fragmentation of the market, because this is something what we are really noticing, that we are observing very much, that European market generally, of course we are talking this time especially and focusing on the digital single market, because we live in the digitalizing world, but digital is only one part of single market generally. So we're discussing the barriers, the red tapes, the regulations, and many of our colleagues, mostly from the ministerial side, were saying the less is more. So less regulation is really much more useful and much more useful for the businesses. And we were talking about digital transformation of economy, especially of the digital transformation of European industry, which is a real one of the main goal of our digital single market strategy. So I see and I really think that this meeting, both the meetings, Single Market Forum and the Informal Council on the Digital Single Market, were very useful. We are agreeing in such society on all of the key priorities that we have to point and we have to take under consideration in the digital single market strategy. And of course, I'm still repeating that the main document, the major document for the single market will be proposed by the Commission in November, and this will be single market strategy. We cannot live in a developing and digitalizing world without having one single internal market in Europe. Thank you very much.
Paldies, komisārs kundzei.
Thank you, Madam Commissioner. Now I open the floor for questions. Please introduce yourself before you put to your question.
Today I'm working for the Spanish news agency EFI, but I also often work for the Wall Street Journal. First of all, I'd like to know what are the unresolved issues in the digital market area, and what roughly is this draft digital policy going to look like, in a few words. Second question is, if we have a single market, we see that there has been a single market in the United States, and we see that in terms of IT and telecoms companies, it is dominated by a number of a few large corporations, Vodafone, AT&T, and so on. Do we not carry the risk here, and I know that Minister Reizniece-Ozola is dealing with this problem of the possible merger of our two telecoms companies here in Latvia. People talk about a monopoly being formed, but the greater threat could be of giant European countries, just companies coming in here like Vodafone, like Deutsche Telekom, and simply, taking over a very significant part of the market here and offering services that are uniform in all of Europe, whereas local companies at best can offer services that are uniform within the country, within Latvia, within Sweden, and so forth.
Sorry for this. The main goal we have to point and we have to tackle is that our companies, both digital and not digital, cannot operate on the one single European market. The market is very much fragmentized, and of course this is the question about the consolidation of the companies. But firstly, we have to make sure that there are no borders on the European market, because we have a market of 500 million consumers. This is one of the biggest markets globally, and we are not using its potential fully. So this is the first goal, to open opportunities for any company. This time we are talking about the digital or companies working online, but for any company, not to have problems with, fight with 28 legal procedures or legal, markets in Europe, because in the United States it's quite contrary. The company is emerging in one state. Of course, we are not the United States, but still, the company has an open market at the whole United States. In Europe, the biggest problem is that company can grow up to a certain level, then there is no access to the money, and then it has to fight with a fragmented market, no money for this, and it's many times I had such examples, and I was listening to the companies. I had a lot of meetings with them. There is such situation. They have just a lot of proposals from the United States to enter their market, and then maybe come back to Europe when it's rich enough, wealthy enough to have enough money to fight with the 28 governmental rules, regulation, additional European. I mean, from the one that is coming, that are coming from Brussels. So this is the main goal. Let's not, bother ourselves with consolidation. Firstly, we have to open the borders, and then maybe to think if we will find any such huge company on the European market.
Well, I think that Madam Commissioner, to a large extent, already replied to your question. Our main problem is as follows. Disregarding the fact that the EU is the largest market in the world globally, for us it's very difficult, for our companies, it's very difficult to compete with the United States companies, because they have to face 28 different legal regimes. And so they are falling back in relation to the EU companies, their main competitors. And we have a very clear example to this. The Latvian company AirDog, they moved to the States, and they continue to develop their project from the United States, because in Latvia banks are not willing to lend money to the companies. Like, I looked at the last year's data, the total amount of lending to the companies in Latvia has decreased by 6%. And overall, the total lending in Latvia has decreased by almost 20%. So we have to find other means and ways to support our businesses. I know that member states are really supportive of setting up of the European Strategic Investment Facility, and that would be another source of finance to the companies. And then another aspect emphasized by the ministers both today and yesterday, we know that in Europe we lack about 90,000 IT specialists, and the demand for IT qualified staff is increasing year by year, and that's another problem, how to fill those IT jobs. And for that we need to change our education system.
Said yesterday at the Single Market Forum that it is the 23rd year of the single market in Europe, and we are still observing more and more barriers and more protectionist measures created by the member states. Europe is really about to lose its competitiveness towards United States, China, Southern Eastern Asia. So this is not really a time for a long discussion, and that's why I really welcome this discussion yesterday and today, because it was like a pre-discussion for our digital single market strategy and single market strategy, and then there is a time for action. We do not have a time in Europe to discuss anymore, why we are not harmonizing ourselves, because this is a time just to act now.
Paldies.
Thank you. Any more questions, please? TV3 news channel. I have a feeling that in Latvia we are quite competitive, and if we talk about prices for mobile operations, then we have very advantageous prices. Can we get some benefit from a large single market? Or maybe we have already reached an optimum situation for us. And to Madam Commissioner, I would like to ask, what is your view on the benefits for consumers from this digital single market? Thank you. If you ask me about telecommunications, then I can say that Latvia is really a country where it is very nice to be telecommunications customers, because we have very good prices and we are very competitive. This is a national question for us, but in this discussion about merging Latelecom and LNT, these two big companies, I think we will have to answer the question first, because we have to avoid the situation to create one big player. And the question is, if these two players do no longer compete with each other, then there is a risk that the prices can go up. We have to take into consideration that in Latvia we have a relatively small market, but if we have an operator who can work also in a cross-border regime, then it will be more advantageous. The market is opening, and the fact that there are serious political discussions and also political decisions, for instance, about roaming and abolishing roaming, then of course the consumer will benefit from it. Of course, there is also the other side to the coin. The operator will have less money and will be less ready to invest in the infrastructure, but by all means the consumer will benefit from the situation. Thank you.
For consumers, cheaper, faster, simple access to good services throughout Europe. That's it. But also maybe one sentence to what you said about the competition by low salaries or low prices. In few years, there will not be such a case anymore. We have to find the other way. Both any European policies and government of this part of Europe are fighting for having the same salaries as we are to catch up the old, like we call them, European states. So there will be, sooner or later, rather sooner than later probably, in few years' time, salaries and lower labor prices connected with salaries will not be the competitiveness asset of this part of Europe. So we have to fight about the innovation, about the effectiveness, about the regulations, also on the region, on the national level, because I observed it very widely in Europe now that on the national level, it's always very easy to talk about the European regulations. But let's look also inside our national ones, I mean, throughout Europe. So I'm originally, as you probably know, from Poland. And this time for lower salaries is really finishing. This not be, and this is our goal, both common, European and national. We don't want to have lower salaries. It's not the goal of common Europe. So let's fight and let's do something more than just repeating that salaries are our assets, because it will not be soon.
Journalists, it might be interesting if we take into consideration that we speak about the digital single market right now. I would like to mention some figures why it is important. The European Parliament has made a research, and it says that if we use the full potential of the digital single market, then the benefit for the EU would be 340 billion euros per year. If we speak about consumers, the consumers will be able to save approximately 11.7 billion euros per year if they can get access to all goods and services on the internet. And if there would be a level playing field in e-commerce, then 55.7% of all companies would be willing to offer their products and services also in other countries. And therefore, I think that there is a very great unused potential, and it is worth fighting for it. Sometimes we think that we all understand that the single market can contribute to development, but of course each and every member state is still using protectionist measures, and I think this is stopping us all the time, because we really should fight for the introduction of real single market. Thank you. Thank you for your answers, and this is the end of the press conference. Thank you.